So, Chisa, as you're thinking about your mental wealth and going from good to great, what is your next move to go from your current good to your next great?
That's an interesting question at a very interesting and intersectional time right now. So I want to touch on one thing because you said something that sparked something in me. So I do want people to understand you can have a lot of money and wealth and still not be mentally wealthy. It's a whole bunch of people out here with a lot of money that is miserable.
Right.
That hate their lives, that hate their spouses, that hate their kids, that, you know what I'm saying? So it's that understanding that everything has a whole well-rounded effect to it, and that my mind is right and my money is right, because there's a whole bunch of rich people that are not happy,
that are miserable.
Definitely. So that's the thing is that and I don't believe in balance. Okay, I believe in imbalance. It's never going to be a balance. You have to choose every day what's important, you know. So even if you woke up and you thought something was going to be important and then something drastic happens and it changes the whole course of your day, whatever you thought was going to be important just can't be as important as it was.
But that's prioritizing. That is a soft skill that every single leader should always have.
You have to be able to shift. And so every day is going to be something different. So what I like to do with that is just say, well, listen, this is what I can do today. This is what I can control today. And I might want to do some more stuff. But if I can't get that done, what's the most important things that I can do today? And then that makes it, you know, okay, to get those things done. If I only did this one thing, would today have been worth it? Yep, I'm gonna knock that one thing out. You know what I mean? And then, okay, well, we couldn't get all of that stuff done. And that for me is how I deal with my level of anxiety, because I used to be like, oh my God, I didn't get it done, and I feel guilty about not getting it done, whatever it was. And then I just got to the point where I just started that calmness came, and I said, okay, well, listen, what can we do today? So if I have one thing, 2, 3 things, can I get those done today? And then the other 5, 6, 7, that'll be the next day. Or, you know, whenever it works, you know. And, you know, I think that I want to say this because I feel like I'm going to do a podcast on this specifically, but you have to know when you're motivated. And you're not motivated at the same time that somebody else is motivated. So whenever your hour, your time, your 30-minute, whatever that level of motivation is the highest for you, that's when you need to work. That's when you need to be putting your mental wealth stuff in, because you'll be at your best and that'll be your peak time. So to answer your question is what is next? So what I want to do, and God willing, you know what I'm saying? What they say, inshallah. All right. I want to podcast full time, because I love doing exactly what you're doing right now, which is interviewing people. I love shining a light on other people. And I think that that's an important factor, because the glitz and the glam is out there, but it's not enough to show the real everyday small business that is actually propelling this country and keeping it alive. And so I think that if there were more of that it would provide more opportunities for people to get funding. I think that there are opportunities for people to get more business. And being able to show people how to do that. And then, of course, my other thing is, the major thing is more sponsorship, because I feel like if I get more, I can give more. And so for me, those are the important things that I need in my life. Is I do want to podcast full time. So a lot of times what happens is you're so busy doing this, you over here, and you know you need to be over here, but that bridge that's in between the two, you feel like you can't get from here to there, because your mind is so focused on it. So if you think about it like this, if you have a project to do and that project has a specific time frame of when it needs to be done, you still knew you had other things to do, but you're so focused on getting the project done that sometimes you leave the other things by the wayside. Right. And you don't focus on it. So even like in business, if you're saying, okay, well, listen, I need to get this done because this client needs it at this time. Okay, but you weren't marketing the business because you were so focused on getting that one client's thing done. You forgot to tell people to sign up for your newsletter. You didn't tell people to subscribe to your podcast. You got to tell people about a sale that's happening. And then all of a sudden the day comes and you're not prepared to do what you need to do because you were so focused on something else. So for me, I like to write lists. And I like to be able to prioritize, because I never want to be in a position, because I have been before, where I'm forgetting to tell somebody about something which doesn't allow me to get everything that I needed. So that's why I try to plan as far in advance. And that's why I'm so glad that my husband does the part of the business that he does with scheduling out stuff and being on top of me and making sure that I have things done, because that enables me to be a lot freer, you know, and it allows me to create the content. So if you think about it like this, you probably wanted to make more videos. you got to set aside the time to make the videos, right? You're like, I know I should be making videos. People want to see that. I got stuff that I want to do, but I need to do this, right? So I need to have days where, and I call them blackout days, where I do the behind the scenes stuff, and then I do all of the let's put on a face and let's give you the cuteness, right? Let's give you the chocolate face, right? But you're not going to see the chocolate face every day because she's got work to do, you know? And it's some days where the makeup is not going to go on. The hair going to always be done. But it's some days where the makeup's not going to be on, and so I'm not going to get on the camera and do that. But then there's other days where I take the whole day and I do the videos and I shoot, and we're doing stuff like today because that's equally as important. And if people would realize that sometimes you have to show people how great you are. You have to take the time to be on shows like this. You have to tell other people your story, because otherwise what's going to happen is nobody's going to pay attention to it. You're doing the work, but nobody knows about it, you know? And so this is where you'll grow in the business and you'll see what else you need in order to be able to be seen, because that's the important factor.
Absolutely. So before, and I know we could go on this topic all day. Let's start there. But we gotta have a limited amount of time with you. So, but this is something I want to make sure we touch.
Yep.
A new thing that we talk about now is breaking generational curses. I know.
I'm just waiting to see where you're going with this. You did, but let me get another sip. I don't know where she's going, y'all.
Well, we talk about breaking generational curses, and there's so many things that have been passed down to us throughout our lineage. Mentalities, traditions, rituals, religions, beliefs, the way we live, the places we live, and they get passed and passed and passed. And sometimes we don't get to see greater, so we don't believe greater. And because somebody has always lived in a certain city, well, my entire family lives there, so we don't ever move. This is our home place, and this is great for us. Because they don't see better, they don't do better, they don't change, they don't shift, they don't grow, they don't even know what's out there. When we're thinking about mental wealth, I do believe that some of our wealth, or lack thereof, has been handed down to us generationally. How do we break the generational curses within the mental wealth realm?
Girl, don't come through with this question like that. Okay, hold on. So I think you have to believe that you deserve better. That's it. Because if you don't believe that you deserve better, you'll be satisfied with, like she said, with good. So if I believe that I deserve better, why can't I do those things? You know, I should be able to do those things. And I'm going to tell you something that is two trips specifically in my life that have changed, and they came at the right time. So when I was in school at Elon, you know, you could go and study abroad, and a lot of my friends wanted to go to London and all of that stuff, and I was like, why would I do that? Like, if y'all are giving me the opportunity, y'all said I could go to Africa, I'm gonna go to Africa. And I went to Ghana and I stayed for a month. I loved it. I didn't even want to come back here. And that trip gave me the appreciation for, like you said, the privilege that we have. I have seen people, now mind you, in the US, yeah, you see people living on the streets. It is not the same as me in Africa and seeing that. But it's also not the same as me seeing what would now be considered $1 million houses and Black people owning them. And it was also me seeing Black people, right? Like, so many Black people. Now, being from New York, you know, you saw Black people, but when you go to Africa, everybody Black, okay? Now, and I'm saying specifically, I was in Ghana. So, you know, the white people that I saw was the professor that came with us from Elon. I don't even remember seeing too many, well, and the white kids that came from Elon too, okay? That, but as far as being there, just being there and seeing that made me say, I would love to live here. I could see myself being here. Now, mind you, that was like, I don't know, over 20 years ago now. So now I need to make sure that the Amazon is going to come and deliver my stuff if I move to Ghana. Now, as long as Amazon is still coming and delivering, I could definitely live in Ghana. Because now, you know, now you're spoiled, right? Like 20 years ago, you weren't worried about Amazon. They weren't delivering all over the place. Now I need to make sure the Amazon can still deliver, because what's going to happen is there are certain things that I have become accustomed to that I know I'm not going to get unless I get them delivered, right? So I need to be able to import my stuff. As long as I can import my stuff, then okay, right? That was one trip. And the other trip, my husband and I got the opportunity to speak at an event called She Podcast, which is the largest woman-owned podcast conference in the world, right? And I got to speak there because I did a podcast episode, and it was actually about my husband. And people, they loved it. It resonated with them. People shared it with them, and they wanted me to speak. And so then they brought me out to Arizona to speak. So that was at a perfect time during COVID that I was able to go out there. You know, you had to have your vaccinations, all of the rest of that. But in Arizona, because you were vaccinated and, you know, the way that they did the conference, you could take off your masks. So imagine going from mask all over to being able to be in the pandemic and now go to places where you didn't have to have a mask. It was amazing, that feeling. So that feeling, but it wasn't just that. When you see stuff on television, it's like, oh, okay. When you get there, everything's brown, right? Brown, like, because I mean, you mountains, but it's brown. I love the mountains, but I love like North Carolina mountains, like where it's trees and all of that. That's my favorite place to be. But when I went to Arizona, I felt a level of calmness that I've never felt in my life. It was beautiful. It was pristine. It was so clean. The food was great. And I was just like, you know, we talked about it. I was like, yo, you feel like you might want to move here? Like that was the conversation that we had. So what that did for me at this time was to say, maybe we could leave. And it wasn't a bad thing, but when you said that with the generational curse, I told you I didn't know where you were going. My family is from here. Even though I'm from New York, I've always come to North Carolina every year because my family is from here. So that Burlington, Elon area, out there, Green Level, if anybody's down here, that's where my family is, right? So when we came down here to live and I went to Elon and everything, it was like, okay, I'm going to be here. And I thought about leaving, but my mom got sick. And so I wasn't leaving. That was it. Once she got sick, I knew I wasn't going anywhere. And I always said, well, when she passed, I would consider going somewhere. And so now it's been 3 going on 4 years. And I'm like, I feel like I could leave. And it was because she was here. I was not going to leave. I was going to stay here until something happened. And, you know, then something happened. So it's like going to Arizona, she had already passed. And I felt for the first time in 20 some years that I could leave because I had no intention in leaving until I found out. So that was like, it wasn't a generational curse in that way, but it was that anchor that was holding you in a place. And I think a lot of times we hold place for people but what would your life have been if you had left? What would you have been if you had moved? You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think about the things like, I probably would be a millionaire by now. If I had left and went back to New York, you know what I'm saying? Like, stuff would have been different. I would have done things differently. And so me and my husband have these, like, what-if conversations all the time. Sometimes you are holding space. People are still going to die. People are still going to get through whether you're there or not. And if I had it to do over again, would I have left? Probably. But at this point in time, I wouldn't have met my husband. So it's like you have to go through these things in order to be who you are supposed to be. Right. But now I'm with him. You know, we've been together now. We just celebrated 14 years of marriage. We've been together 18 going on 19 years. And it's one of those things where who knew you were going to be with somebody this amount of time? Like, it sounded good, right?
It sounded real cute.
But now that you're in it and you're living it, you're like, look at us. So we call each other, hold on, let me tell y'all. He calls me old lady cuz, and I call him old gent cuz. So, you know, now it's just so funny. So he'd be like, look at you, old lady cuz. And I'd be like, yes, old gent cuz. So we have this whole thing going. And it's like now you've been together longer than you ever thought you were going to be with somebody. But it's just recently where I feel like, yeah, I could go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But it's that it's not even just a comfort. It's in you trying to take care of somebody else. You trying to be there for somebody else. So for me, that was a generational thing. You want to take care of your people, right? You don't let old people just get old and just leave them. Right. And so that was the thing for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so it took your experiences other places to really realize that. To appreciate, but also to realize that I can release it.
Yes, because the appreciation that I had for things when I went to Ghana was massive, right? Like just, you know, knowing, okay. And it also gave me something that was aspirational to say, yes, I do want to go back here. You know what I'm saying? This is a place I could see me going back to. But the Arizona thing took me to a place where it was like, this is so different from everything that I've ever had. And could I venture out to do something like that? To live somewhere. So it's not just about travel. And so I think, you know, when you talk about, in my mind, breaking generational things, it is the experiences that you have. If you get out and you see something different, then you can make a decision of like, oh my God, you know, wow, it's something else out here. It's not that you didn't know it, but until you physically experienced it and were immersed in it, then that's when you felt something different, you know?
Right.
So like I give this example, and I don't know how many of y'all have watched The Wire, but on The Wire, you know, because The Wire is like almost 20 years old now, right? It's definitely over 10 years old, right?
Oh my word.
So the thing about The Wire, if you don't know, I'm just going to summarize it. It's a story in Baltimore. It was about the drug dealers and about the cops. That's the shortest version I could give you of it. And drug dealers doing drug dealer stuff, cops trying to stop it, but then also being in a system where they couldn't stop it because they were encouraged to keep them in this space. Mm-hmm. That's really what the whole concept of it is in Baltimore. So one of the boys, they're going and they're traveling to New York, right? So in them traveling, the young boy is listening. He's like, something's wrong with the radio. And he's like, no, it's nothing wrong with the radio. He was like, what do you mean? Because the radio's not working. He was like, because the radio station changes as you leave from one area to another. The boy had never been in another place where the radio station would change. And I know that that's something that seems like so minute, but you don't realize that until you get out of your area, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a small thing, but if you've never been anywhere else, then the radio station is never going to change. You're always going to hear the same thing. You're never going to get anything new. You're never going to have another perspective. And so, you know, when you think about something as small as that, you know, you've been so tuned in to this way of life for so long that you might not have even thought that something else was possible. And you didn't know anything was wrong with what you had because you've always had it. And so this is why I think we just have to have, you know, in my advice is we have to have some new experiences, even if it's once a year. You know what I'm saying? We have to have new experiences because it gives us perspective and it gives us an appreciation for what we have. And it also helps us to set goals for things that we want.
Absolutely. And, you know, so just that thought about having experiences is really part of what the Refining Life is really in. And I know I didn't talk about this in the beginning, but I'm the founder and visionary of the Refining Life, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. But our whole mission is to provide you with experiences, to have your mindset shifted so you can lead a more positive and productive life. And that in itself is tie breaking. It is curse breaking because you are having a new experience. And the only way you can break those things is to know that they are breakable.
Come on. Because you didn't know.
You don't know they're breakable until you see them broken somewhere. If everything you see and everyone you're surrounded by is constantly the same brokenness, it looks fixed. It looks fixed. It looks like that's the way it's supposed to be and that's the way it has to be. But until you see it a different way, you will never realize that this other way could be the right way.
Come on.
This other way could be the better way. And it may not even in itself be the best way. It may just be better than where you are. But you have to have the experience. And so I'm grateful also to Elon to be able to go abroad. It changed me.
Where did you go?
I went back the next year. I went to Barbados.
Oh,
and it was the very first year.
Okay.
They had never
because they were not doing Barbados. See how they got me? This is the old lady because they did not even have no Barbados trip when I was there.
It was just a couple of years later.
First of all, don't be trying to be young. Get out of here. I love it though. Yes. Okay, well tell me about Barbados, girl.
It was, that trip changed me.
Okay.
It changed me. It showed me different. It wasn't even better. It was different. And, you know, our whole thing, we were studying leisure and culture.
Okay.
And so we did the things, honey.
Okay.
We went to the rum distilleries. That was a part of class.
Oh.
Part of class was learning the bus system.
Okay.
And getting yourself around this island.
Okay.
And sometimes you would end up in places like...
Suspect.
But I'm here. I'm going to get back to Christ Church.
I know that's right.
The parish where we stayed. It was going to see cricket. And understand that cricket is not just played in Europe.
Yes.
But the reason why cricket is played in Barbados is because of Europe. Let's be real. But, you know, meeting people. Part of our assignments was talking to people. and walking through these gullies, and I am petrified. Okay, so I don't do slithery things.
I don't either.
If it slithers, it's not for me.
No, honey.
If it does not have, even some things with feet, 2 or 4.
Don't have too many feet. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't do those things. So I was petrified going through this place, but we were walking. It was beautiful. And I thank God that I had a video camera, another privilege.
Okay.
I had a video camera so I could videotape, but part of that videotaping was, I am real leery, and you can hear it. I am talking to the video. I am scared. I do not know where they're taking me. If I don't make it back out, here's the footage.
There you go.
But, now that once I was able to look back on it, it was so beautiful. It was so lush. It was gorgeous. And they took us to this clearing.
Okay.
And we could, it was on a mountain. And so it was one of those moments where you could just see everything.
Yes.
But going to this place and meeting these people, we met people at restaurants. Literally that I still talk to this day.
Oh my
And they live in
goodness.
another country.
Wow.
I went back the next year and went for a week for my birthday and stayed with somebody who I met in the study abroad.
Look at God.
Who lived with somebody else, an older lady who cooked for us every day.
Now you know that's a blessing.
But everybody on the island knew him and thought I was his sister.
So you were safe.
He was a security guard. He had lived in the U.S. for years, for like 14 or 15 years, and they thought I was his sister from the States.
Wow.
And to be able to build a platonic relationship with somebody to that point where you felt safe enough, and even my family felt safe enough to fly back and take another friend who had gone to Costa Rica for her study abroad.
Okay.
I had talked about Barbados so much she wanted to go.
Okay.
But having that privilege of living a different lifestyle, it was so different. And in some ways, to me, it was better. It was a different type of chill.
It's a different pace.
It was a very different pace, even though the misogyny over there was on a whole new machismo, the whole feeling of, men could say and do whatever they wanted to do to women, but not to the point where I didn't feel safe physically. But it was a different feel, but it changed me so much. So when I came here, it shifted how I moved.
Okay.
Because I knew I could move different. I knew I would feel different if I moved different, and it could translate.
Okay.
So sometimes we go to these different places. It's not about moving. I can still break pieces of generational curses in my mental wealth because I knew how to do something and make it translate into my new place.
Yes. I love it. I mean, I just, I think that if you're going to go on vacation, you need to plan some downtime. Because I know, and I have been that person, because I'm a planner, I have been that person that tries to plan every day, all day. But you need downtime to literally just walk around, to literally just lay out, to really just go do something super basic. Like when we were in Arizona, I wanted to go to the grocery store. I mean, that seems like a basic thing, but then the grocery store that I went into was fabulous, and they had the fresh baked goods, and, so it was one of those things where, to me, that's one of the most important factors. When I want to move somewhere or go somewhere, where is the grocery store? Okay, because I'm going to need something. And so a lot of times, where is the Target? Like, I need to know, don't send me somewhere and be like, they don't have a Target. Where are you? No, I'm not going to be able to live there. So and I'm talking about the U.S. though, right? Because it's like, well, what is the distance to the Target? How far is it? How long is it going to take me to get to the Target? Oh, it's 2 hours? We're not going to be able to do that. But it's if you get used to certain things that make you feel a certain way, you know what I'm saying? And I'm probably so tied to Target because Target is like my little respite place. You could just walk around Target, honey. You don't even need to buy anything. It's just you want to look at stuff. You just, what's the new such and such? Something's always going to be on clearance. It's always going to be something new for you to try. I love a good beverage. So you make a thing that's pretty. Let me try that. So I think, to me, but that's quality of life stuff. It doesn't have to be something that's so big. You don't have to do an international trip. But what I would suggest is get out in your own neighborhood, get out in your own city or your own state. And so like one of the things that we did that I love doing, so when we talk about mental wealth, and this is something that'll be coming up too, hiking, okay? And I'm not talking about hiking up a mountain because that's the people that fall off the side of the mountain, okay? That's not where I'm at with it, okay? I'm with put your sneakers on, put on a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt, okay? Bring a fan, all right? And, beverages and, walk. So I'm saying hiking, but I mean like downhill and uphill,
hiking
not
a trail,
not up a mountain. Okay, I just have to be clear with that. So I like doing that though, because it gives you time to think, it gives you time to talk. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go fast. It's a great thing. And so what we did was we went to go find waterfalls that were in North Carolina. And North Carolina does have a lot of waterfalls. It really does. And that was one of the best things we ever did. I bought lunch because I'm not about to be out anybody woods without food, all right? So I bring my food with me. So I bought lunch, okay? And we had sandwiches with the good bread.
Hello, good bread.
And sat at the bottom of a waterfall for like 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
What did we do? Nothing. We just sat at the bottom of a waterfall, took some pictures, did some videos, ate lunch, and we're just chilling. That right there, that's a perfect day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How much did that cost? However much those sandwiches cost.
With the good bread.
Whatever the gas was, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't, I don't think that your experience have to be really expensive. I think that you can make a better life for yourself if you appreciate the things that you have and you use what you have in order for you to have a good experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, I think that that's the things that are mentally wealthy, and I think it's different for everybody. Find those experiences, and as you get more money, as you're able to do more things, then you can do stuff that's bigger, you know? So like, instead of just doing that, one of the things I want to do is go glamping, okay?
Now that I do want to do.
That's something I've been saying I wanted to do for the longest time, and I still have not been glamping yet. But I'm going to go glamping, okay? I don't know if it's this year, next year, whatever, but we're going glamping. That's something that I want to do. And so I think that when you start to look at what's available, every state has rural areas. Every state does not have mountains per se, but North Carolina is one of those places that is uniquely situated where we have mountains, we have beaches, you know what I'm saying? We have inland, we have all kinds of history here that it's enough for you to do just in this state. But you know what the problem is? People don't seek out the opportunities.
Right.
It's so many things that happen that you don't know anything about because you don't want to look online, and you don't want to search for something that is cultural, or you don't want to search for something that is outdoors. And I need you to, I'm just going to say this, Black people, I understand, you know, we've been through a lot, but outdoors can be nice, all right? It can be. Bring your fan, all right? Because you know, if you need bug spray, bring the things that you know that you need.
Sunscreen.
Okay, sunscreen, yes, all right. But bring those things and you can enjoy the outdoors. I know it's always somebody that's like, oh, if it doesn't have air conditioning, honey. Listen, it does. It's called air.
It's called breeze.
It's called air and conditioning. It's God conditioned it, right? It's not going to be your inside thing, but it's some beautiful stuff outside, you know? So for me, I like to do outdoorsy things. And that makes me happy. And I told my husband the other day, I said, you know, one of the best dates we went on last year, he was like, what? I said, you went to the diner and you went and got us some turkey bacon, egg and cheese sandwiches, okay? And then you got us some juice. And we just sat down at the little thing with the little pond and we just ate it. And we had our radio on in the car, and we had, because we know we got chairs, right? We pulled our little chairs out and sat right there by the little pond. And that was one of the best dates we did last year. He was like, you know what? That was a nice day. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, that costs whatever those little turkey bacon sandwiches cost, and some juice. I mean, I know other people are more extravagant, and I'm not that person. I'm just not, you know. I like the simple things, you know. I love just goodness,
right,
you know, and happiness. And for me, those are the things that make me happy. So if you feel like you need something bigger than that, then okay, then do that. But I just feel like there is some greatness in simplicity.
Absolutely. Well, if you have learned nothing else from today, it's that your mental wealth is on you. It is on you and the choices that you make. And it is very hard to be mentally wealthy when you stay stuck in one place. It's very hard to be mentally wealthy when you don't learn to appreciate even the simplest things. It is very hard to be mentally wealthy when you choose not to see. You've got to have vision. You've got to seek. So all of this has to do with your eye. You have to seek, you have to have vision, and then you have to actually pay attention to the things that are around you and the things that you're doing and see what they are for what they are. And all of that will help you to become mentally wealthy, because if you can't see it, you definitely won't monetize it. If you can't see it, you won't even do it. You won't go for it. And if you can't see even where it may have gone wrong, you won't seek to make it better so that it can become its best. So our hope for you today is that you will learn from what we've experienced and the things that we've learned to appreciate. Because let me tell you, I do love a good sandwich.
Come on.
Fool around and make it some ciabatta. Mess around and put some flavor on said ciabatta. Don't mess around and toast
I love a good French
cheese.
bread, honey. Give me a soft French bread. A soft French is not a game.
See? But the fact being that we can get this excited over bread.
Ridiculous.
Because it's
Love
something,
it.
and it's something that we actually could use our hands and self-create.
We could.
And it's about learning about that, though. Going to YouTube University and doing those things. Maybe even running to your local Target and picking it up, or even getting Amazon to bring it in. Just because these are the places that we've talked about today.
Yes.
But anyway, you have access to these things, thankfully, for the good internet. Utilize that so that your mental wealth can go to new places and that you can break the curses that maybe other people, because they didn't, doesn't mean that you can't. Make yourself and your mental wealth a priority so that you can take it to the next level. And then in leading your life, you will in every way go to the next level as well. So thank you for being here with us this week. Know that we love you. Keep your leadership all the way live, and we'll see you next week. Bye.